Hi, my name is Siri Palreddy. I'm the co-founder of the Hartford Health Chronicles along with Dr. Madhavi Gurusu. The Hartford Health Chronicles is an online journal dedicated to providing the latest updates in the scientific, health, and wellness worlds. Our latest segment is called Physician Plus, where I'll be talking to various healthcare workers who lead me through their own personal activities, hobbies, and practices which can lead to a healthier and more balanced life. I'm so grateful to have had the opportunity to film, edit, and produce this video with the physician you'll be seeing today. Enjoy the video, and if you want to learn more about the Hartford Health Chronicles, please check out the link in the description box below. Plant-based eating's popularity has grown significantly within the last decade. In fact, the number of U.S. consumers identifying as vegan grew from 1% to 6% between 2014 and 2017, a 600% increase according to global data. But even with its recent rise in relevance, there is still a lot I didn't know about plant-based eating. Like, what exactly is plant-based eating, and how is it different from being vegan or even being vegetarian? To answer all these questions and more, I talked with Dr. Satish Gadi, an interventional cardiologist certified in internal medicine, cardiovascular disease, nuclear cardiology, cardiac computed tomography, echocardiography, and interventional cardiology, and who is also a member of many professional organizations, including the American College of Cardiology. I started our conversation off by asking Dr. Gadi about his immediate thoughts on plant-based eating.
So, all this whole concept of healthy eating, it's a little bit controversial.
And controversial is the right word. From debates on the health and environmental benefits of plant-based eating to arguments about the very definition of terms like vegan and plant-based, there's a lot to unpack behind this style of diet. But first, let's start with some definitions. The term vegan was created in 1944 by Donald Watson, an English animal rights advocate and founder of the Vegan Society, to describe a person who avoids using animals for ethical reasons and whose way of living avoids all forms of exploitation to the animal kingdom. A plant-based diet, on the other hand, usually means that someone's diet consists entirely or mostly of plant foods, trying to eat as minimally processed foods as possible. Unlike the definition of vegan I said earlier, being plant-based typically refers specifically to one's diet alone. And you can still be plant-based if you eat meat or processed foods. You can even be both vegan and plant-based at the same time, as these terms weren't designed to necessarily divide people. The fundamental difference between those who identify as one or the other is that veganism extends into one's lifestyle, while plant-based is often contained to what one eats. And as for vegetarianism, there are definitely different sectors within that as well. Vegetarianism is different from veganism in that it doesn't necessarily exclude animal products, like milk and honey. And while a plant-based diet de-emphasizes meat, vegetarianism strictly excludes consumption of meat. But honestly, some of these terms, their requirements, their restrictions, are changing, both on an individual and sometimes a larger level, depending on how people decide to assess the impact they are making through their dietary and lifestyle choices. But regardless if you're a strict vegan or someone who likes to have meat in their diet, Dr. Gadi has a common recommendation for you.
I do agree that plant-based food is probably the most healthiest, and probably not, I shouldn't use the word probably, I think we're pretty certain now in terms of research and science that plant-based food is definitely the healthiest.
But to truly see the benefits of plant-based eating, you've got to try it. In addition to being an experienced physician, Dr. Gadi is also a wonderful home cook who volunteered to show me one of his family's favorite plant-based dishes, root burgers.
Today, I decided to do this root burger. I will take you through the steps and make perfectly vegan, plant-based root burgers. And I think they'll be delicious.
Along with Dr. Gadi, his wife, Dr. Thirumalini Dasari, a rheumatologist, and his two children, Sammy and Sunny, chipped in to rustle up some root burgers, all while continuing the conversation on healthy eating. To make 5 to 7 root burgers, you'll first need to have 2 or 3 beets, 2 turnips, 2 carrots, 1 zucchini, hazelnuts, brown rice, and garlic.
We make mess, so we're going to do that at the end.
Okay.
So let's just start with turnip. Any good chef needs a good knife. I have everything on this baking paper so it doesn't mess up my wonderful cutting board that I have. So we're gonna chop the ends off.
Wash and cut off the ends of your other turnip, your 2 carrots, your zucchini, and your beets. Next,
Peel the turnip.
I'm just
We're
peeling
gonna
this
do the
off.
same thing with the carrot.
once you've peeled your turnips, carrots, beets, but not the zucchini, you can move on to grating.
Now I'm gonna start grating the turnip.
Then,
So we're gonna squeeze the grated turnip to get all the juices out to make it as dry as we possibly can. So all these juices, we're gonna strain them and then you can drink them.
after grating and straining your turnips, make sure to do it for your carrots, zucchini, and beets as well. Your finished product and juices should look something like this, with each of your drained vegetables filling about 1 cup. Next, we're going to want to prepare our brown rice.
So I have a cup of brown rice here, and we're gonna add 2 cups of water, double the amount. This is a contraption that you typically find in the south. It's
It can fold
mounted
open.
here, and then you have the handle that comes in.
It's called a pot filler.
It's a pot filler.
So you don't have to go to the sink and fill it.
You need a little salt to add to the rice. So you're gonna put it on high, let it come to a boil, and then once it comes to a boil, we're gonna take it down to a simmer and leave it on for about 45 minutes.
As the rice cooked, Dr. Gadi and I turned to the limitations that come with the many benefits of plant-based eating.
One of the limitations being cost. Plant-based food, generally by and large, tends to be costlier. There was some research done many years ago. The further an average home is from a place where you would get fruits and vegetables, meant the more obese that region would be. An average person has to go get fruits and vegetables. You're having to travel further. It's costlier, the accessibility is lesser. So in all ways, unfortunately, being unhealthy is cheaper and easier. Pretty much in most parts of the country, particularly down south.
As a practicing physician in Louisiana, a state with one of the highest obesity rates in the nation, Dr. Gadi often finds himself modifying his diet recommendations to better fit his patients' needs.
And I tell them, don't eat this, don't eat this, don't eat this. And they're like, Doc, what am I supposed to eat? That's all I have around me. Kind of modifying my advice to where I tell them, okay, why don't we maybe just eat fish and chicken? Stay away from beef, pork, and processed meat. And maybe when you do the fish and chicken, maybe just bake them. You'd have to incorporate such practical advice into when you're advising about diet.
But Dr. Gadi's advice doesn't only apply to his patients.
As a nation, really changing our viewpoint on food and lifestyle is paramount. Much more important now in the COVID era, where we know that obesity actually leads to worse outcomes if you have COVID. Obesity can cause diabetes, which then leads to really bad outcomes with COVID. Now more than ever, we really have to do all we can to change public perspective. in terms of healthy cooking and diet.
And with that, our rice is done. Time to roast the hazelnuts. Take 1/2 cup of hazelnuts, either pre-chopped or whole. Then,
Start roasting the hazelnuts at 350 Fahrenheit for about 10-15 minutes.
once out of the oven, wait for the hazelnuts to cool before starting to remove their skins. To remove the skins, repeatedly roll the hazelnuts between your fingers. Make sure the hazelnuts aren't too hot when you roll them. Once the skins are removed, finely chop the hazelnuts.
Yep, nice just of that. And that gives a nice nutty consistency to these burgers.
With the hazelnuts done, it's time to move on to the garlic.
I can mince the garlic.
Take 5 cloves of garlic, mince them finely, and then set them aside. Chef's game plan.
We're going to saute the garlic, then add the roots, created roots one by one. While they're cooking, we'll add the salt, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of pepper, 1.5 teaspoon of dill weed, and then 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. While that is cooking, we're going to prepare our lime zest and chop the parsley. The root thing that should be done in about 15 minutes. We're going to put everything down in a big vessel and mix it with the rice, hazelnuts, lime zest, parsley, and all that stuff. So we're going to wash the parsley. We're going to go ahead and chop the parsley to keep that ready. I like to avoid the stems in parsley.
After mincing the parsley, head over to the stove to start cooking your vegetables.
Put some oil. Let the oil coat the surface. Let it heat up a little bit. So garlic first. Okay, I think we're good. That's the garlic. So one of the things that I like to do is sort of start off on lower flame because I'd rather spend more time cooking than actually starting off with a higher flame and potentially ending up burning something. I'm going to start adding the veggies. Turnip first. And as you're adding, you want to just break them up. You want to add the carrots in. Now the beets.
So zucchini last.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. The beets are going to take over with the color and flavor. Beets are very overpowering in that regard. So one of the things that we were talking about earlier about healthy diet and lifestyle. Exercise is obviously very important. Diet is perhaps more important because you really can't burn everything that you eat. It doesn't work that way. You have to depend on the dietary aspect and use the exercise as an extra. The bonus, if you will, to help you achieve your goals. Okay.
The whole thing looks like beef.
Salt, a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of pepper. Then we're gonna add the dill weed. Now the chili flakes. They recommend a teaspoon, but I've added a teaspoon and a half. I like it. We like it a little spicy. Give a little kick to it. And then 3 tablespoons of soy sauce.
3 tablespoons.
And now we're going to put it on high to sort of let it cook. We've been kind of cooking for about 5 minutes, so we'll do for another 10 minutes. It's already smelling so nice. I love the beef smell. You like the smell, son? You know, if you want to vary the taste a little bit, you could add some cumin powder, fennel seed powder, those kind of things to give that different flavors. I like to experiment like that and then see what taste comes out in the end. Who's going to help me do the lime zest? Let's get the lime zest going. We're close to getting done here. You want to keep turning so it doesn't stick too much. You can lower the flame a little bit to make sure it doesn't stick too much. Pretty much done. And heat it off. You can just leave it there to let it rest. Have our bowl, so we're going to be mixing everything. I'm going to transfer this here. The cooked roots. This smells so good, I want to just eat it by itself. Now while it's there, I'm going to get it sliced. Yeah. Start mixing it. Parsley, lime zest, the toasted chopped hazelnuts. Good. So Sammy made a great point just now. She says, "What about the people who are allergic to nuts?" Obviously, no, don't add nuts if you're allergic. I'm gonna add about a half cup of oat flour. The oat flour will give it that consistency and the ability to make this into a patty. I'm gonna add the lime juice now. It looks like chicken. No.
It looks like bread.
So ready to make the patties now. They may not all be the same size. Now, one of the things that you could do to give the patties real consistency is freeze them. You freeze the patties and then bring them back and then cook them. I'm gonna just make about 6 patties and start sauteing them. Got my spatula, heating up the oil, baste them. Now it's very important not to disturb them. The flame is on low. Generally it takes about 3 minutes per side. In the meantime, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and start toasting the buns. Just use just a little toast. See that?
Oh yeah, I see that consistency. Yeah. Sort of dark, brownish almost.
Yep. Little dark, not burnt, but dark. All right, guys, you're ready to make the burgers?
Yeah. For a completely plant-based burger, you can substitute avocado mash for mayo, have no cheese, and add on toppings like lettuce, tomato, and red onions.
Let's do the lettuce first. Then the patty,
Onion. And then the onion.
and then
The bun.
Pretty.
that's it. You got your healthy root burger right there. Fantastic. Completely healthy, 100% plant-based, gluten-free buns, avocado paste for the base and the sauce part, lettuce, the root burger, tomato, and onion. Yep.
I didn't eat any of the burgers.
Amazing.
Ate lettuce.
Thank you, everybody, for helping.
I'm gonna
And,
try. I'm excited.
Chili flakes to making my tongue spicy.
Follow the Hartford Health Chronicles, and I urge everybody to follow that, share that,
I don't
and let's make this go viral.